Hi guys, so this time I'm going to do something a little bit different and look at the punk rock phenomenon of the 1970s in the UK, the late 1970s. So I think there's been a lot of rubbish spoken about this, that it was like a nascent revolution about to happen, and at that time the young people of the UK had had enough, and it was a revolution was going to be the next thing. The first thing to say is that I was just going to university in 1977, and I don't think there's ever been a better time to really to really be young and looked after well by the state than at that time. I never came from a rich background, however. I remember that I got a grant from the government for my high school, and then I went to the university. I had my fees paid, and I got living expenses as well. Lived in the university, and there was nothing unusual about that. Everybody got the same, unless it was really someone from a super rich family, and in that case maybe they had to pay themselves. But other than being in the super rich category, everybody really got free tuition and also living expenses. The living expenses could go down according to how well your parents were doing, but most people more or less got the full amount. Well, maybe not the full amount, but they probably got at least 50% and more. So what about these punk rockers who are telling us that in the late 1970s there was a youth revolution going on, and everything had to change, and everybody had had enough, and the revolution was brewing? Well, it's just complete nonsense, actually. What we can say is that for a certain group of young people, those who were really those who did very, very badly at school and uh, didn't really want to get involved in anything that was leading to a career, then maybe times were hard. Perhaps the service industries were not as good as they used to be, or something like that. But the truth is that unless you were part of some kind of youth fringe group that um, absolutely rejected the system, then it had never really been. There had never really been a time to be that was better to be young in the UK than the late 1970s. Um, yeah, I think that this was largely manufactured, especially in London. There was a group of young people who hung around clothes shops and places like this. They had no interest in schooling or going to university or going to college or polytechnic. They they just wanted to, yeah, I don't know. They just wanted everything for nothing, really. It's hard to say why it should happen at that particular time, which was so much better than now, really, from the point of view of how the government helps young people. But yeah, I think it was largely manufactured. People like Malcolm McLaren got together a lot of no hope young people who were ready to try anything because they failed at everything, more or less. And a kind of youth revolt was manufactured. That's what happened, more or less. But the thing is, I remember buying the album, never mind the bollocks, when I went to university, and thinking it was really good because the songs are full of high energy, and young people really like that kind of high energy. Um, it's full of sincerity. Of course, someone like Johnny Rotten believed what he was singing. He was too young to fake it, as he himself has said later on. And by the way, he's become the most complete bigot these days. He's reverted to type, and he's become just a working class bigot basically. He lives his time out in Los Angeles and places and pontificates on what the British working class should be doing. I have more time for the guitarist. He's got some radio show in Los Angeles too, but he's much more humble and much more interesting, really, to listen to. And I think it was the guitarist. I've forgotten his name right now. I shouldn't have done, but I have. Who had a lot to do with the success of this sound, because his power chording riffs so important to those 3 or 4 singles that they released that were so popular. And I think that he doubled up on bass a lot of the time and added other guitar parts. So he was really a kind of one-man band in the Sex Pistols. Johnny Rotten had some interesting lyrics sometimes, but I don't think he would have stood a chance without being part of a band that was actually able to play something that was presentable. Glenn Matlock, they got rid of him. They said he didn't fit in with their kind of rebellious attitude. But he was with the guitarist, he was one of the few people associated with the group who could actually make music. So yeah, I'm going to play Pretty Vacant here, bring it up, and I think it's a good one. I think there were 3 really good singles they released: God Save the Queen, Anarchy in the UK, and Pretty Vacant. Maybe we hear Pretty Vacant less than the others, so I thought that as a representative number, maybe I should bring it up. So let's do that. Pretty Vacant. All right. Okay. Paste. Okay. I'll bring it down. Here we go. Okay. Right, so yeah, full of high energy, of course. That's what young people like in it. That's what I liked in it so much when I bought my copy after I just got to university and played it over and over again in the university halls of residence. Um, yeah, but of course that opening is mesmeric with the electric guitar playing the arpeggio, is it? Up and down. It's probably not very difficult, but it's incredibly effective. And then Johnny Rotten, John Lydon coming in with his snarling vocals. So it's easy to see what they had going for them. It wasn't just an attitude, they actually made good music, or good music of a certain type. High energy, high octane, uh, blast you out of your complacency kind of music. There must have been a lot of kids who loved to play this in the presence of their parents in order to shock them. Um, yeah, so there were also aspects of the lyrics which were shocking, kind of. Already there'd been God Save the Queen and the Queen's anniversary here, which was shocking to so many people. Anarchy in the UK, shocking concept, and also here, it's kind of sniggering at themselves, pretty vacant. You know, you think that we don't have any brains. You think that we're total cretins. Yeah, okay, so we can live with that. We're pretty vacant, but we're still a threat to you. Something like that. Um, so yeah, there were some very well made songs on that first album. Never mind the bollocks. I think a lot of Americans don't quite get bollocks. It's basically another word for balls. Yeah, never mind the balls. Never mind the bullshit. Basically. Um, so yeah, it's commonplace really in the UK for someone if they want to say that in a strong way that what has been said is rubbish, to say that's bollocks, meaning that's absolute rubbish. So um, yeah, so they had something going for them. They had a kind of manufactured Svengali and Malcolm McLaren who created a stage for them, and kind of by chance they actually had some ability at making music of a certain type. Um, they manufactured all those ideas about it being a response to the old hacks like the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and so on and so forth. It never was really. They say that the Sex Pistols were great admirers. At least a guitarist was a great admirer of Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones and the Who and all of these previous great British groups. Um, but of course, they had to manufacture it so that, yeah, it was a new revolution and they were reacting against the pomposity of the past and so on and so forth. But it really deteriorated when Johnny Rotten got in his old pal Sid Vicious, who couldn't play a note of anything. And the only thing he could do is make a complete ass of himself the whole time. And of course, that ended badly for him in his own death and the death of his girlfriend in New York City. I read somewhere or saw somewhere a video where John Lydon was saying this was he felt some culpability for this. He felt that he should never have gotten him involved in the Sex Pistols. Uh, so yeah, to sum up then, the Sex Pistols was kind of a created group, and the people around them were crying that the young people wanted a revolution because everything was breaking down at a time when it had never actually been better for young people in the UK. Maybe times were hard for those who couldn't finish high school and just dropped out. Times were always hard for those people, and they're always looking for a main chance. And on this occasion, a few of them found a way out. And John Lydon and the others, certainly the guitarists, I'm not sure about all of them, live their lives now in sunny California, I believe. So they certainly got out, and I think everybody would feel better if John Lydon would just keep his mouth shut about everything happening in the UK from now on. Or it would have been better if he'd done that a long time ago. But yeah, the music they made was good at the time, so I give them credit for that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, and subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks a lot.